Welcome to Season 2, Episode 70 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of ComicBook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me today, I got Matthew Aguilar.
What up?
Producer Jim Viscardi's back with us.
Hello.
And we got wrestling on the horizon, so of course, our wrestling aficionado, Mr. Connor Casey, is back with us again.
Aficionado. I like that title.
Yeah, I'm trying to class up wrestling, so we're going to use terms like that.
Good luck at that.
Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to do too well because we're here to we talk about WWE's modestly named Clash of Champions, the big pay-per-view event that's coming up this weekend by the time you're hearing this. So we are going to preview all that, and Connor's going to break it down, and I'm sure there's a lot more going on in AEW, NXT, all that stuff. So we're going to do another wrestling check-in. And in addition to that, we got to talk about some big news with Marvel. We just got hit with some kind of disappointing and kind of mind-blowing when you start to look at it, Marvel news that we're going to get into. We are also going to talk about the first trailer for Marvel's Hellstrom, which just came out. The Justice League is doing some surprising things for the Snyder Cut that we didn't think they were going to do. John Cena is getting his own DC series. We got to talk about that on HBO Max. Supergirl has come to an end, and Matt has to do his gaming flex, so we're going to talk about Amazon's cloud gaming service, Luna. In addition to that, we are going to take a deep dive look into comics this week, including X-Men's X of Swords creation, the kickoff to this big X-Men crossover event, the big thing that House of X and Dawn of X have been building to. And so we're going to talk about that and how that's going, because this could be the most lively thing we've done in comics since House of X. So stick around for all of that. It's going to get good. Right at the top, let's get into our news flash segment. Marvel's Hellstrom. So, I mean, we're kind of skirting a line by even referring to this as Marvel's Hellstrom.
That's true. It's technically not Marvel's Hellstrom.
Yeah,
because...
I know. But, I mean, we're going
they won't even put the Marvel logo in the trailer.
Yeah, no, I mean, but
I didn't notice that at all.
No. Marvel's on the QT on this one. They're just taking those residuals. But we have to get. Of course, we got to say it because we got to get that SEO. People got to know what this is. So this is a Marvel-based property, but of course, Marvel's got their own Disney Plus thing happening now. So this is just like the weird leftover child of old Marvel TV. This was supposed to be part of like a whole new horror universe that we were going to get. Like, remember that? Remember them when Ghost Rider series. Who else was it they were going to do?
Wasn't Satana? No, Satana was not. She's in this.
No, we had theorized though that it would have been a. We were like, we contemplated that like 5 other characters were going to come in and it was going to become the Vengeance tie-in and do all this other stuff. Yeah. And I guess that's not happening.
Well, I mean, it's not counting out because some of my favorite characters, the Darkhold Redeemers, are actually in this show. They've been spun a little bit. They're a little bit around, but they're basically still the same characters. So let's talk about this Marvel's Hellstrom trailer. This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest with you. Like, I've been kind of giving it the side eye because it is this weird, unofficial Hulu Marvel, which is not to throw shade. I loved Runaways. So I'm not throwing shade on Marvel Hulu. I'm just saying, like, compared to, like, Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision, like, I wasn't expecting too much from this. And I think it also just didn't help that it sounded a lot like one of my favorite new shows with my boy from The Walking Dead, Prodigal Son, which is about a guy investigating serial killers whose dad is a serial killer, and this kind of felt kind of like that. But when I started to see the still photos, I've somehow landed on the Hellstrom beat here. I don't know how that happened. But when the first official photos came out, like, I was just kind of looking at them, and I was like, oh, this looks like it could be like it looks like a stylish production. It looked like it could be like a stylish show. And after seeing this trailer, I would say like style is like the big thing I kind of came away from this. It has a very it has substance, but it has a very big style kind of presence in this kind of gothic horror style to it. And I dug it. It looked creepy. It looked kind of interesting and not just some like weird family drama with Marvel stuff thrown in. So I was kind of pleasantly surprised. How about you guys?
Go ahead, Jim. You sound like...
Well, it's like, I don't know where to start with this one. I wish it didn't have the burden of being an ex-Marvel show, because I feel like on its own, it would not be that bad, right? Um, it's one of those things where it's funny because and this is, these are two totally different shows, but I just finished watching. My wife got stuck on Lucifer, and so I was kind of watching along with her. And there's a lot of there's a lot of very demon-y type of stuff that goes on in that show. That when you see the trailer for this, the thing I liked about Lucifer is the humor that's kind of injected in there. And then I watched this, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be pretty dark. And not that that's a bad thing, but it's like a just feels like a very big tonal shift, and it's all recency bias for myself. But I mean, these are characters that have a lot of potential to be explored and made very, very interesting. I don't think that I've never been the biggest Hellstrom fan to begin with, and like that corner of the Marvel universe.
I'm not sure anybody has.
Well, but that's what I mean though. Like, so like there's really I don't know what's really drawing me to this show outside of the premise that it used to be a Marvel show.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, I disagree. I think if I didn't know anything about this and people didn't tell me this was Marvel, I would still want to watch this particular show. I like horror, but I like horror TV, so that's my preference. Yeah. I love The Exorcist.
Perhaps that's why they didn't put the logo on it, because
but I think also too
that would be a draw.
But there's nothing there. I don't think there was anything there that was like, I need to watch this as soon as it comes out. Like, will I get to it? Yeah, probably eventually. Do I need to watch it immediately? Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's not like must-see TV for me, but like I think it has the obvious benefit of dropping in October. So I'm gonna get my Halloween on, like when it's spooky season. I'm gonna definitely jump into this. So, I mean, there's nothing. I think Hellstrom is benefiting from the fact that we also are in a year where there is like content. We are in a desert of content, especially on TV right now. I mean, this is literally going to be like the only thing that comes out that we really have to talk about. And so I think at least during that October run, it could have like a good little run to it. So, like I said, visually it looks like, it's a well put together production. So the horror elements and the creepy show, I didn't need to know it was Marvel to kind of get me in, because I like serial killer demon stuff like that. And this has all of that wrapped in a bow. So I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, I will not be watching it, but it's because it creeped me out, because I don't like possession stuff. And they're like, right off the bat, it's like, hey, this is kind of creepy possession stuff. Like, nope. Keep that. Thank you. Whether you got Marvel or not.
You know what kind of vibes I got from this that I really liked, and is now that I'm kind of like walking back a little bit, the Exorcist TV show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like that TV show. Yeah. I liked what it was starting for horror TV. I like that stuff. So I'm kind of psyched. I like The Following. I like The Exorcist. I like Prodigal Son. I like Evil. Like, I like all these kind of creepy shows. Like, and this looks like another good one. So, and it looks better than Castle Rock, let's be honest. So good for you, Hulu.
Man, I loved Castle Rock season 1.
Yeah, it started off with such promise, then it lost me. When season 1, I was like, wait, that's it? And like, yep. All right. But moving right along, we're going to move from Marvel and horror to the horror of making DC movies. So I said we learned that we were going to get something for this Snyder cut of Justice League that we didn't think we were going to. It was a big kind of discussion point when it was first announced. But we didn't think the original cast was coming back. We thought they're done, and that's that. But turns out we were wrong. Part of that $30 million that Warner Brothers is pumping into this is apparently to get some of the original cast back for some important reshoots. We're going to be having Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Ray Fisher, which was an interesting addition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think one of the things that we should probably make clear is that the report said reshoots and additional photography, and sometimes those terms can go hand in hand, right? Where they may be filming new stuff, but that's stuff that like there still may be scenes that Whedon shot that were, you know, originally Zach. So I think we're getting a little bit of both. But also too, that 30 million number I think is now, you know, I think we've seen a few times that there was someone at HBO Max who said that they were going to, that like the 30 million number is probably going to get bigger. And I think that's where we're seeing here. We're like, if you're going to bring everyone back to shoot for more stuff, it's going to cost more. Cause I would imagine the 30 million is probably just that visual effects budget by itself. But
that's what
you know,
I thought. Yeah, like I kind of thought that was just to finish what was there. I remember them saying they weren't even doing reshoots at one point.
They weren't. Well, the
Yeah.
original plan was that they weren't, and so clearly it looks like they have gotten to a point in the process where they feel that they need to.
So it's even more proof that this theory that there was a secret cut of this hidden away. This is even more proof that never existed, and that they had to make more stuff.
Yeah,
Well,
I wanted to address this, yes. But let's be clear. That rumor and confusion was Warner Brothers' fault. Like, that was not the fandom's fault. Because that was the bargain they made with that thing of that whole PR kind of swap out for Zack Snyder and Josh Whedon, right? Like, you know, they had gone out and said, oh, Snyder shot everything. He finished this film. You know, he just had that family issue, and now he has to leave post-production. No big deal, guys. We're just bringing Josh Whedon in to do the touch-ups and add a few scenes, and that's it. I mean, they've had them go out on a Comic-Con stage and tout that company line. Poor Ray Fisher, that's where he lost his soul, that he's trying to, like, recover now because you're running around in a case like freaking Pulp Fiction or whatever. But, like, yeah, so he had to go out there and say that stuff, and so then they had created this impression that Justice League was finished, it mostly finished by Snyder, and this was mostly Snyder's film, and Josh Whedon was just doing these little bits. They had everybody say this, like Josh Whedon. I mean, just up and down the board. So, yeah, when people saw it and thought, oh, no, we know that there's something else, they were going back to the claim the studio made that Zack Snyder had basically finished a film. So they couldn't, and they just kind of played the line. They didn't say anything. And so they could have shut down this, and that was a catch-22 of the Snyder thing, of the Snyder Cut movement. They could have come down and said, stop it. We never finished this thing. But then to do that, they would have to say, nah, we just didn't like it. We yanked him out like X amount of the way through, and this is now a Josh Whedon film. Surprise. And, like, yeah, and going through that. But, you know, they held.
Which, by the way,
they held to the lie long enough to that now we have this thing coming true. So there you go.
I did notice that,
baby.
like, I can't remember what. I think it was that article that actually talked about this in particular, but also like a couple of previous reports are still sticking by the initial reason that Snyder was let go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's still, like, they still haven't really addressed all that. Like, it's still kind of that same, like Kofi was talking about, kind of that same report from way back when. Like, they really haven't walked that back either, even though they've done all this stuff around it and kind of danced around it and said all these things. They still actually haven't acknowledged that, like, all of that was BS.
Yeah, statute of limitations, we've known for a long time that a lot of that was BS. Like,
yeah, exactly. And I feel like everybody kind of knows.
Long time,
but they still kind of
that's
just
a messy situation that I am not stepping into. Like,
that Momoa just stepped into.
Hollywood and PR and what you say and all this stuff. Like, I'm not stepping into that pool. But yeah, we've known that for a long time, and
say me.
Stop it. And but now the cast is coming back. But yeah, it proves. I mean, this is actually the chance for Zack Snyder to actually put together the film that he wants, and not even. I mean, it was always a problem. I mean, this has actually weirdly worked out better because I was here. I remember doing this 10 years ago when it was just Justice League with the 2 Roman numerals already when they announced it, 1 and 2. It was like 2017, 2019, baby. Those are going to be crazy years. But, so this actually has somehow worked out to him getting to make that crazy Justice League longer thing that would have never fit in a theatrical film anyway. So kudos to everybody. HBO Max, get them subs. I'm loving HBO Max anyway. All right, so that's one thing on the DC front. Let's keep moving. We also got to talk about.
Oh wait. Can I just add one more quick thing, really quick, because like you just kind of mentioned, like, you know, with the Roman numeral 2 or whatever, it'll be very interesting to see how this ends, and whether or not Zack Snyder is going to tie a bow on this story, and like that's where the bulk of the potential reshoots are going to be, or like we're going to talk about, will it leave it open-ended for potentially other things in this universe?
I mean, it kind of has to open the door to Flash, at least, we know. Like,
I mean, if you're Zach, though, from his point of view, why the hell would you put a bow on it? Like, do exactly what you were going to do, and then gauge the interest, because then it puts them in a position of, if there's enough, reaction to it, then you have the possibility of like getting your other movie, right? Like, I don't know why you would shoehorn, especially since it's like this 6-hour opus, like his original 2-movie plan was just like ridiculous, but like, why would you? Like, you have the potential for another full movie that, you could spin if you wanted to. Like, for him, I don't see why he would do it.
This is all a Trojan horse that we can get Ben Affleck convinced to take 1 month to shoot us a Batman limited series for HBO Max.
Absolutely.
So then we can have a Batman awesome TV series and awesome movie. Absolutely. And DC will have fulfilled its most fond dream. Batman everything. Just like, that's all I'm in this for. It's a Trojan horse to get Ben back.
Batfleck.
Something. Yeah. That's all I want out of this.
Matt, I feel like at some point, though, he's got to just cash in his chips and say, I have pushed my luck so freaking far into an unprecedented situation. At some point, he has to cash out and go, hey, if I keep pushing this any further, this is going to blow up in my face again.
Yeah,
if he does that on Wednesday, if he does that on Wednesday, I was about to say, then on Thursday, you're going to get the Get Snyder More Chips # movement.
But like, I would feel that way if he was the one like pushing for this the entire time. But like, he goaded, like, yes, he fanned the flames and he would pour little things on there to keep the fire going. But like, he didn't push it. It didn't start from him.
On it.
I'm saying though, but he was not out there campaigning for this movie. That was not him. So he hasn't pushed his luck. He's literally sat back and watched all this happen, and then waited for his NDAs to dry up, and then talked a little bit about it. That's like all he's done. So like, why would you stop?
It's the laziest comeback kid story in the history of entertainment.
I mean, he hasn't done anything. He shared it to a social service no one uses.
He hyped up Vero. He hyped Vero in the process.
Here's a weird shot of Wonder Woman. Here's another shot of Superman. Like, that's literally what he did for a year.
Stock up 1,000%.
But how many times did we write about his Vero stuff? How many stories do we have of that in the backlog?
Well, he kept posting a whole bunch of pictures on it.
You might as well just ask it quicker. How many years worth do we have?
He didn't, but that wasn't a Snyder pushing thing. Like, if it was him all the way, I would say no, it was not, because Snyder wanted his movie, and Snyder didn't get his movie without all this other extraneous stuff.
I mean, and taking it out of all this, because we got to move on, but like, this is a studio thing, and this was a universe starter. It wasn't just a movie. And so I feel like Warner Brothers is going to go back and retool it for that purpose in an era where they now have both movies and HBO Max at their disposal in these series and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm with Jim. We got to move on and talk about John Cena's Peacemaker. So John Cena's Peacemaker is getting his own series. If you don't know what that means, well, you haven't been paying attention to James Gunn. Guardians of the Galaxy director James Gunn is doing the Suicide Squad, which is coming out next year. And one of the characters that he collected from this crazy assortment of like B down to Z list DC Comics characters is Peacemaker, who is this kind of twisted, like Punisher meets Captain America kind of amalgam, where he's this crazy patriot who does whatever he needs to do to achieve what he thinks is like the cause of freedom and justice, which can mean just like pulling out guns and executing people randomly and doing all kinds of zany stuff. And they got Cena for his kind of, obviously his wrestling persona and all of that. And so, I mean, he's got like the comic accurate costume with a helmet and stuff. He looks ridiculous, but he looks like he's going to be a real breakout star of this movie, like, and a kind of a hit. We saw just the behind the scenes footage of it during DC Fandom, and you could clearly see them letting Cena kind of ham it up in the best way that plays to John Cena. And like I said, this is going to be crazy. So this is going to be a prequel series showing how that Peacemaker gets to be Peacemaker, which I also love, because at first when I saw the series, I was like, oh man, like now you just kind of ruined something for the Suicide Squad for us. But you totally didn't. John Cena could have a horrific death in that movie, and still we get this Peacemaker series, which is kind of like a twisted Captain America. And if you give me something that's like a demented version of Captain America, the First Avenger, I will love it. Like, and I just love the tagline. And is this the show title? We were moving so fast covering all this yesterday. Is it really just called F? It's Peacemaker? Is like that the official title?
I hope it is, because
I mean, I would love it. I don't think so, but because I don't think that's what the press release also was also pretty big. I don't think they've landed on a title, because it just said they are making a Peacemaker show.
Yeah,
a Peacemaker spin-off.
Well, I think we also learned during the 2010s, because there was that big craze when Twitter first blew up in the 2010s of making shows that had like curses in them, and then they ran into the obvious marketing problems with all that. Like, yeah, just printing stuff, getting people to look at it, not scaring away old people, like, you know. Yeah, so I don't think we do that anymore. But yeah, this looks like it's going to be a good bit of fun, and I'm just liking DC. Like, is really leaning into this HBO Max thing and just like really going there, like a gritty Gotham police force, a crazy like Peacemaker show. Like, this is just Green Lantern.
Why
like,
wouldn't you know?
I just love that they're hitting the ground running on programming for HBO Max in a way that, like, when you look on the flip side, like, yes, we know where, you know, what we're getting on Disney Plus side, but like, just even like from a numbers standpoint, like, we're almost kind of neck and neck now, like with number of projects kind of in the works between HBO Max and DC properties and Disney Plus and Marvel properties. So but like, they're so wildly different, right? So like, you have the stuff that's coming out of Batman, you have the stuff that is now coming out of Suicide Squad. You still have that Green Lantern show that's still out there to, you know, to be made. And like, so it looks like it's just going to, you know, kind of be in these bubbles, which I love, because then you're not necessarily constrained to the ongoing narrative that is the MCU, right? Where like the big question has always been like, how are these other things going to move? These shows going to move if the movies are moving? And, you know, they solved some of it in the sense of having WandaVision be able to come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier. But like, with these DC shows, it sounds like it's not going to matter. So, so it's really interesting to see how Warner Brothers is building their superhero franchises versus how Disney and Marvel are building theirs.
Which is, by the way, how it should have been in the first place. Like, this whole multiverse, like, continuity is just like a thing we play with, and all these things isn't a barrier to what we can do and what projects we can put in, is what they should have done from the beginning, because this current slate and like the possibilities, I'm excited for some Marvel shows. It's one of the reasons why I'm really excited for WandaVision, because it's so different and it's so unique. And like, obviously I'm excited for Miss Marvel and Moon Knight, but because I'm fans of those characters, it's not necessarily about like the shows themselves, because a lot of Marvel shows are going to fit into the same template. They're going to feel as part of the MCU. Whereas DC shows, I don't know what the hell to expect from half of these, you know, 'cause like the tones are going to be so different. They can be so creative because they're not, you know, completely tethered to each other and like kind of handcuffed in some ways, like what they can do. That's exciting to me. And it's kind of like, finally, thanks for getting the memo years later. This is what you should have been doing from the beginning, because this is exciting. This is cool. So
I just love everything about this because I love that Gunn goes on Twitter and just says, "Yeah, I was bored at home during the pandemic, so I wrote a TV show."
Oh, we didn't even mention. I left out the big thing. This isn't just any show. James Gunn, director of the Suicide Squad, is making this John
writing
Cena piece.
Writing it and directing some of the episodes.
So this is a James Gunn joint, you know. Sorry, Spike Lee, but so this is going to be very much a Gunn project. And I'm just thinking, like, if you've ever seen Super, like this just like screams another kind of version of Super.
Yeah, this is like someone let a trauma show into HBO. That's what's happening here, and that's amazing.
But before anyone starts asking, Gunn has already said that he plans on doing this in his what would have normally been his downtime between Suicide Squad and Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So this has no effect on the schedule that he had already planned for himself in shooting Guardians 3. So I don't want to see anyone being like, James Gunn loves DC more than Marvel. That's not the case. He made it very clear. So everyone can put down their pitchforks.
Yeah, but I mean, that's some pettiness right there. I mean, that's crazy.
You know,
but
it's pretty cool that he wrote a TV series. When he
yeah,
was
I mean, I just want to see. We got to break for a minute, but I just want to see basically like Kick-Ass meets Captain America: The First Avenger.
Yes.
That'll be incredible. All right, when we come back, we got to talk about Amazon's new gaming service, the Marvel movies getting delayed, and X-Men's new big comic event. So we're going to talk about all of that. All right. So we also have a little tail end to our DC discussion, which is that Supergirl will be ending after season 6, which is about 3 seasons longer than I thought it would last. So, I mean, I'm not broken up. So, sorry. I mean, this was... I tried to hang with this show, and I don't have any weird gender bias in my superheroes. I can watch female, male, black, white, anybody superhero stuff. But, like, this show was just – it was all right, but it was just kind of – it was a little too soapy right from the beginning for me, like with the original Calista Flockhart stuff and all that kind of stuff. But it got better over time. It found its footing, and I'm glad that it's had its run, but – I think the Arrowverse in general can start rotating series out after 5 seasons. Like Arrow lasted 8 seasons? So yeah, about 8 seasons. Like so Supergirl lasted 6. Like that's not a horrible thing to people who are freaking out. And the people who are mad about like the Superman and Lois show coming and Supergirl, you know, they're just kind of feeling like it was a placeholder for Superman. Like,
you know.
Supergirl had her time. Superman had a series that failed in the time that Supergirl was still on, like Krypton, like, you know, did all that. So, like,
I forgot that show existed. Oh my god!
Not me. I love that show, man.
I
it's
know.
better than all this.
So broken up with that,
dude. It's better than all these Arrow Superman stuff, man. Like
that came after, like, didn't that come a week after you had like gushed about Krypton on the show?
Yeah,
Krypton was pretty good. I think that was a victim of being on the wrong channel at the wrong time. And
Sci-Fi lost a lot of money. Sci-Fi screwed up a lot. They got Happy canceled, Deadly Class, Krypton. Yeah. Like they were like, we're the comic book superhero station. Not anymore. But anyway, so I mean, I'm just proud of Supergirl. Like, I'm proud of Supergirl for going the lengths that it did and for lasting. Like, it made a star out of all the actors. Melissa Benoist. I always butcher her name. Benoist.
Yeah. By the way,
she fell in love. She got married, you know, did all that. She's still married. Did they get divorced? No.
Yeah, they're still married.
Yeah, they're still married. She's still married to the dude who played
because she just had a kid too.
Yeah. So like, I mean, it changed her life and she did a great job and like the show was great and I loved Supergirl and the crossovers.
Yeah.
And like all
I think that's just the biggest thing with that show is it just became incredibly directionless.
Yeah.
Like they were just filming episodes to either get to something else or whatever. It didn't feel like it was necessarily going anywhere. And
I feel part of it is from its inception, right? Because it wasn't a CW original show. It was started out on CBS, then got canceled, then got moved. Now it's a separate universe. So then we gotta like jerry rig all this stuff.
Bring it into the universe.
Them. Yeah, it's just, and then we have Superman because they couldn't mention Superman in the first season because of like contract stuff. Yeah. So then it was, now we can talk about him. So now we're going to shove everything in here. And so like, it was always trying to catch up to itself. And I love her as Supergirl. Like she is.
Well, right. And
fantastic.
I think that's the added bonus to this too, right? Where like depending on how they end it or whatever, the hope is that she'll be able to come by whenever she's
People can
needed.
pop up in the Arrowverse
Yeah.
and every
And that's
alternate
going to be an
flashback,
awesome
like,
surprise.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that'll be
Agreed.
great.
And I like the Kofi idea. I think you could, aside from like Legends, because that show is like evergreen just because of the nature
Sure.
of what the show is. I feel like all the other ones though, yeah, you could rotate every 5-6 seasons and bring another one in and keep it lively. I like that idea.
Yeah, so that's Supergirl season 6. Going to be the end. Moving right along, Matt, why don't you quickly tell us about Amazon Luna, the new gaming service, and what all is going on with that?
Yeah, just real quick recap because they were kind of vague in some parts, but this is essentially Amazon's version of Stadia, where they do all the processing on their side and their servers and AWS specifically for Amazon, and you just get to play anywhere. So which includes right now mobile devices and PC and Mac, and then they've got a couple other things rolling out as well. $5.99 is the price for that, and you will like it has Twitch integration. They're going to have about 100 games right off the bat to go ahead and play on this service. It's got options for 4K and things like that. It's just interesting to see like why. Because I'm curious by like Stadia has not been the home run that Google wanted. And Microsoft has their own, and I'm blanking on the name, their own service that's kind of like this, and it's like X something, and I'm blanking on the name. But they have their own kind of thing. Is it xCloud? Yeah. So, that they also have. But again, like theirs is kind of integrated into their whole PC hierarchy and stuff. But this seems just kind of like the 100 games. Like there's some good games in here, but there's not a bunch of good games. There's a lot of like niche titles. You have like Control in here. You have Resident Evil 7. But like, you don't have a ton of other like high profile things. Now, the cool thing is that they will have an Ubisoft channel, which is like a dedicated channel, and it will have like new Ubisoft games in there. So like Valhalla will be part of that. Watch Dogs Legion will be part of that. So it'll be interesting to see, like, they didn't really describe if that's included in the $5.99 or if that's kind of like a, hey, add this subscription to your core subscription thing that like others have done. So I'm curious about that. But like $5.99 to be able to game without like, like just
Needing
without the
$500
hardware
console. Yeah.
is cool. It's cool. Plus I dig the controller, which is actually like a straight up jack of like Microsoft's controller.
No. It's the Switch Pro controller, and everybody's roasting it on Twitter right now.
That design is like the Xbox came up with that design, and then everyone else did their best impression.
Yeah, I mean that's what I always associate that design with
like,
Xbox.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
But like the way the sticks are laid out, I always attribute to Xbox because I feel like that was the first time a lot of people saw that being done, and they did it extremely well. So everyone else is kind of aped on that, even scuffed to a point, but. Yeah. It's an interesting service. I'm curious as to who this is aimed at and why they launch it now when we have like new consoles coming and like Stadia is still trying to find its feet after like a year. I don't know.
I think it's aimed at at a much more casual audience.
But like so is Stadia.
Well, sure, but here's the biggest difference, right? It depends on your household or what, right? Like you're either like an Amazon smart device household or you're a Google smart device household or whatever. And so if this is going to connect in with kind of all the other stuff, here's the other thing that like that Amazon has that Google doesn't, and it's Twitch. And I can only imagine that there are going to be Twitch integrations here that are going to make it easier for anyone else wanting to kind of jump into that space than anyone else, right?
Oh,
like
there are.
If Fortnite,
they made a point to like highlight that.
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. Like Fortnite moves to if Fortnite moves to is able to play on that, then like, and you eliminate that barrier of being able to like jump to Twitch or whatever by having it plug into everything else you've got from a Twitch standpoint. Not only that, there's all those Prime perks that you get, or for Twitch Prime that I imagine you can get with games that are gonna go here. And then Amazon's it has its own game studio, right? Like there was that Crucible game that tried to come out, that they were testing a bit, that had to go back for a bit more development there. But like, I'm sure you're going to be able to use that to like get into early beta for those kinds of games. Like, I think there's way more potential for
working on all this time. They scooped up all that talent like years ago, and then nothing has come from that. We got all these crack guys working on this stuff, and then like silent. silence. I hope this is what
that's where I feel Amazon has a bit more of a leg up on Stadia, in the sense that like Google Stadia kind of sits off on its own island. Yes, it's powered by Google, but like where else does it plug in? Where for Amazon, like it can plug in a ton of different ways. That, you know, I think is where the path forward is for that, and why it stands out as a different kind of console than, you know, your big three: PlayStation, you know, Xbox, and Switch.
True.
Jim, I think you're right that Twitch might be the thing that keeps this one afloat a bit longer. I think Stadia goes the way of the Ouya, and we're laughing about it in 5 years for being gone. So,
oh, the Ouya.
No one remembers the Ouya.
All right. Anybody? That's it?
That's it. It's just a quick one.
All right. Well, we got to move on to Marvel Phase 4. So, bad news, ladies and
Can we
gents.
just put like the funeral song over as an under embed in the music here? Like, Jesus.
I don't know. But yeah, the news we were kind of dreading came down. Marvel isn't taking any chances on 2020. Black Widow has been moved from November, and they didn't just move it till like Eternals date in February. No, the entire Marvel Phase 4 movie slate has been knocked back to a new start date of May 2021, where Black Widow will finally be able to hit theaters. So that's basically a year-long delay from when Black Widow was supposed to hit theaters. And as we do this, I guess Fast and Furious is just looking smarter and smarter than anybody, right?
Who knew? Who knew they would be the ones ahead of the game?
Yeah, we clown the Fast and Furious, but at least they were like, you know, they were realistic. They were like, ooh, pandemic, yeah, see you next year. Mm-hmm. So they were locking it down. They knew this year was busted right from the start. Yeah, so what this means is crazy. Is that's a year from when Black Widow. That means it's been going to be nearly 2 years. Nearly 2 years since we've had a Marvel movie in theaters by the time we get to Black Widow. Because the last one was Far From Home in July of 2019. And so, like, yeah, that is crazy. Crazy. Wow. After the life we've been living, that we will have gone 2 years.
That's it. We were just hooked up to that Marvel Studios IV, just like, tap the vein, let's go.
And that was the drip right there. Like, and now, yeah, that's so nuts. Yeah, but it's also created a whole cascading effect, of course, as Jim was saying. We were talking about DC's kind of tie-in properties. This is not just about Black Widow. So everything has had to get knocked back, and some interesting things are starting to kind of come to light and are happening. So Black Widow's not coming till May of next year. There's been an order change. Mm-hmm. So instead of it going Black Widow, then Eternals, then Shang-Chi, Shang-Chi is now coming out before Eternals. Shang-Chi, Black Widow will hit in May. Shang-Chi will arrive in July, and Eternals will arrive in November 2021 now. So that's a really kind of interesting change. And it's brought up something that I was kind of doing before we even came in here today, which was talking about additional effects that this could have. Because there is this Marvel Disney Plus slate. And WandaVision, we know, is still coming at the end of 2020, but there were two other ones in production already, which were Loki and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The big question now is, like, when will particularly Falcon and the Winter Soldier arrive? Because there are been, and I did a whole breakdown article in this and going back through basically both of these, the show, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Black Widow, the movie's production, and rumors and all this kind of little clues that people have been putting together. And there is increasingly kind of significant evidence that these two stories are linked in some kind of significant way, whether it's Black Widow and the most obvious way, since the time periods are so different. Black Widow's between Captain America Civil War and Infinity War, and Falcon and Winter Soldier's after the events of Endgame. So you're looking at roughly like a 10-year span of time in the MCU between those two, like depending on when, close to, if it's approaching 10 years, if not. I see Connor kind of looking skeptical.
I'm doing the math in my head. There's the 5-year jump, but where are you getting the rest of those years from?
Civil War, between the years between Civil War and Infinity War.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's like
I mean,
eight.
it's at least 8, and we don't know when Falcon and the Winter Soldier is set exactly after Endgame. So, giving it that it could be another year, you're approaching 10. It's not exactly 10, but it's getting towards a decade. If you want to throw in time travel, no, I'm just kidding. But
Well, if only there was a young, promising actress in Black Widow that could show up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, exactly.
That might
So-
get some attention for the series. Gee, I wonder.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the thing. The connective threads that are here are Black Widow will be dealing. I mean, both are obviously espionage stories, and the kind of speculation is that Black Widow is going to introduce something that, by the time of Falcon and Winter Soldier, has kind of come to fruition in a much bigger way. And there's a lot of ways that can play out. There's whatever new program the Soviets are running that could turn into whatever happening in Falcon and Winter Soldier, because Zemo has all this deep knowledge of Soviets and the Super Soldier program and everything they were doing. And, is Russia a timely subject to talk about and a metaphor for like superhero series? Maybe.
Is Russia behind U.S. Agent?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. That's what I put in my article. That would be a very on-the-nose Marvel, let's get political move to have U.S. Agent be a Russian plant. All this stuff. So there's all these connected things. And then there's the Thunderbolt theory, which is that each of these movies will begin to that both Black Widow and Falcon and Winter Soldier will begin to do almost like a demented reverse Nick Fury from Phase 1, where you see somebody like Thunderbolt Ross or something kind of coming around and beginning to collect people for a government team,
or to become Jim's favorite character.
Yeah. Oh God, Red Hulk. Yeah, I mean, I
want
Red Hulk. I want some Red Hulk. There better be some Red Hulk. She-Hulk better throw in some Red Hulk. Otherwise, and there better be a Tri-Hulk battle in that piece, or I'm gonna walk away. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I'm getting off topic. So there's all these connective tissues that we see that can be there. So it basically boils down to the fact that it seems like Falcon and Winter Soldier has to come after Black Widow, which means if Black Widow's not coming to May, there's a good chance that Falcon and the Winter Soldier will also get a year-long delay from its release date and come in summer 2021. And that's speculation. I don't know that. So don't send me your hate tweets. I don't know that. I'm just speculating. But there's evidence to that stacks up. I just saw tweets too. Yeah. Comic Book Nation has an official Twitter account. Send it there.
Go follow it.
Yeah. And so basically, besides the rumor evidence of the story elements, there's also the fact that Falcon and Winter Soldier got slammed in its production cycle by the lockdowns and the pandemic, and it's just now getting back to shooting. And Marvel, it seems like this is going to have some pretty big sequences, effects, things like that. So why not take the time, do it right, and then just put it out in time for summer next year? What are we racing for? That Valentine's Day slot? Come on. We're not going to get done this year, so you might as well just keep it in pack summer and make it exciting for fans. Just start hitting them with Black Widow. I mean, it'd be awesome if we got it as a package, just like Black Widow in theaters, Falcon and Winter Soldier on Disney Plus that weekend, and just go crazy deep Marvel. That'd be awesome. Watch Black Widow. Let's see the story continue on Disney Plus.
That'd be awesome.
So I mean, the possibilities are wide open, but we got to start doing that. And it seems clear to me the other side of this is that Phase 4 has two distinct storylines really building here. There's whatever's happening on Earth with all this kind of crazy espionage, next phase of crime or spies, assassins, super soldiers, whatever. And then there's all the cosmic stuff that's going to be affected by WandaVision, whatever's happening with Loki, kind of Doctor Strange, wherever Kang fits into all of this. And so, I mean, it kind of makes sense that they can play with the order a little bit and just maybe get some of the more grounded crime, espionage stuff. Because Shang-Chi is going to kind of introduce a possible crime syndicate run by the Mandarin that has all this kind of mystical things. And it'd be a good bridge piece in a certain kind of way. So I'm kind of interested to see what's happening here. How are you guys feeling about more 2020 depression?
I mean, that's the thing. Falcon and Winter Soldier clearly is still doing more filming, and so that's inevitably going to be delayed. So maybe this, Black Widow move is kind of a blessing in disguise and a necessary evil kind of thing. I think the big question is how and where Eternals fits into all of this too. With given kind of the cosmic stuff, and I'm really curious to see what kind of story that is setting up, but also I think there's actually like three kind of threads being here, because I think you've got your Black Widow and Falcon Winter Soldier kind of thread. You have your WandaVision Doctor Strange thread. And then you potentially have, like, I guess maybe the Guardians is connected in some way, but Guardians and Thor and Eternals, I think, are probably that third thread. And then you've got to think they're going to start on She-Hulk and Ms. Marvel and Moon Knight pretty soon as well. So, like, how does that fit into the grand scheme of things? And I think it's one of the things that everyone has come to love about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I think that just because it's come to a grinding halt, and we had, like, that story hasn't been able to progress, it just leaves us all kind of fiending for literally anything. And I know we're all saying, like, oh, we're not going to get, a Marvel movie this year, but let's be totally honest. WandaVision is going to be shot like a movie, and while it is a series and we're not going to see it in theaters, that's just a long movie in my opinion. But like I said, like, I remember just like seeing that WandaVision trailer, and it's got all of that Marvel Studios shine on it, right? Like, it looks really good. It doesn't look like a TV show. It looks like a serialized movie. And I just need it to start. Just push that ball off the hill and just let it start rolling.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Anybody else got
But also
any more?
give me Red Hulk.
Anybody else got any more Marvel thoughts?
I feel bad for the Eternals cast because they have to wait so long from when they shot to when this thing's actually coming out, because that delay is long. They're going to start feeling like the New Mutants cast, where they have to think pretty hard about when they actually film stuff.
Wow. That's rough. All right. Well, we'll be hanging in there talking about Marvel stuff or DC stuff or whatever we can until we finally get back to Black Widow. See you next summer. All right. Moving right along, we're going to flip it up, and I think we are going to talk about wrestling first so I can finish reading this X-Men comic that goes on forever. Matt and Connor, give us an update. What's going on with WWE Clash of Champions? Woof. The dogs are psyched for it. Is that like that should be part of the promos for this thing. But anyway.
They're barking for the big dog, Matthew.
Okay, take it away, guys. What's going on with wrestling?
I got Matt to chuckle on that one. So we've got Clash of Champions coming up this weekend. The gimmick of the show is that every champion must defend their title. So 9 matches on this sucker. And the big things are Roman Reigns is probably going to straight up murk his cousin Jey Uso because he's a heel now, and he's probably not care that it's his cousin. Drew McIntyre's at risk of losing his world championship in an ambulance match. We've got a ladder match involving Jeff Hardy, so that's going to be fun. And then an undercard that's not very exciting, but those top matches should kind of carry the whole thing. Matt, is there anything on this show that particularly inspires you?
I mean, I am excited about the Roman Jey Uso match. I mean, I'm excited just to see how that plays out, because again, a lot of the things I'm looking forward to here aren't actually the matches themselves. It's like the fallout or the storyline stuff that's like with that. Like, it's the same reason why I'm looking forward to the Bayley match, because I want to see the next part of Sasha and Bayley. I'm not really like so locked in on the match itself. And the same thing with Roman. The one match I will say is different, that is not that way, is the ladder match. That one, I'm just excited to watch that match just because of those 3 people. But
right.
So there's some stuff. It's not like the most stacked card, but I mean, I like it. I like what it's got going on.
I can't get it out of my head that Bayley could lose the title here because she and Sasha want to prove that their storyline is big enough that it doesn't need a championship. And if you give it to Nikki here, she's got a feud ready to go with Alexa, with whatever she's got going on in her head right now with The Fiend. So you could have 2 really interesting stories in the women's division on one show, which we don't see a lot of, as opposed to, this is all about Sasha and Bayley. Everything else can kind of get scooted off to the margins.
And it would be nice for Nikki to actually like not lose.
Yeah, because she's done a lot of that lately, and I love Nikki.
Always loses. It would be nice to give her that run. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, and I don't think Bayley Sasha needs a belt at all.
No, it really doesn't. But I could also see the argument of Bayley gets to a full year as champion and then Sasha knocks her off. And then she's champion just in time for the Mandalorian. Because you know that's
yeah, that's a good point.
You know that they're thinking about that too. Like all eyes are going to be on her, so put her in the best possible position. As for the rest of the card, I could see this being the thing that protects Drew while still giving the title back to Randy one more time. I know you roll your eyes, lots of people do. At the same time, I just feel like this feud has lost some steam in the last month. You dragged poor Keith Lee into this just to yank him back out of it. Randy's he's not showing the same dangerousness that he did from just even a couple of months ago. But so that one's a total toss up to me. This whole show for me just comes down to the ladder match and how long does Roman want to toy with Jey Uso before just spearing him in half? Because the thing could go 5 minutes or 15 minutes, and it's all depending on how much do I want to beat up this guy. And I'm kind of excited
for Retribution. They're gonna turn the lights off and then turn them back on, and then they're gonna
introduce themselves as T-Bar and Slapjack and Crackerjack and Shatter.
If you ever needed a reminder of why I get so tense anytime an NXT person moves to Raw or SmackDown, just look at Retribution. That's all. This is the exact example of that.
I will give them this. Watching Dijakovic go on Twitter and pretend to be Bane is kind of amazing.
Okay, they should get all credit actually, because they've done their best to be in on the joke.
They're
protect
trying
it.
so hard.
It's not their fault. This is terrible. Like Mia Yim should not be doing this. Like there's so many Mercedes. It's like she just came off an entertaining feud, and we're like, oh, she's gonna go do something cool. And this is what they like. Poor Mia couldn't even keep the mask on throughout the whole thing because like, everything's bad. Everything's bad.
and the masks don't hide who they are at all. But everyone's just like, who are these people? We've never seen them before. And we can see all of Mia Yim's face.
She's got blue hair. She's had blue hair like her entire NXT run. Like who was fooled? Who was fooled?
Oh God, it's so bad. I just hope they keep that. Just keep it on Raw. Don't mess with our pay-per-views with this stuff. We don't need it.
Oh no, they're going to. They're absolutely going to.
You know what the rumor is right now, right?
No, I've stayed away.
The main event of Survivor Series will involve Retribution. That's in November.
I think that's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you?
We got months
you booked it this far
to get through.
That's a long time.
Just run it through. But again, we also saw the hacker just disappear.
I wanted to bring that up. Like, where is the hacker?
He's on main event because he's Mustafa Ali.
yeah. That's pretty bad. And then here's the thing: NXT then does the mysterious person. What is with WWE right now and that vocal tech? What did they just? Is the license running out and they have to use it? Like, what is the deal? Why is every promo and every vignette have to have that? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure Bo Dallas is pulling a Mission Impossible right now on NXT.
I have been amazed by how many Bo Dallas requests I have seen pop up after that promo aired. Was so many Bo Dallas and Tessa, but I don't think people understood the promo for saying Tessa because it's like this person's been on NXT before. But Bo Leave stuff came out of the woodwork, and now I kind of want it to be Bo Dallas. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, it's either him or Bobby Roode, and neither of them are going to excite people. They're going to be like, "Oh man,
Bobby Roode finally able to leave Canada."
I think Bo would. Just because it would be so what the hell? I think there's a bit of I think people like him and like that character before it got overexposed. Yeah, I think so. So if you lean into that, I actually think that might be fun. Bobby Roode, I don't know why he would come back to go to NXT. Just put him back to whatever he was doing before he left. I don't even remember what he was doing.
He was with Dolph.
I don't remember what he's doing. It was that forgettable, but yeah.
Jim, any thoughts on Clash this Sunday?
Like I said, I am loving the pairing of Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman so much. It's just it works. This is the kind of thing that I think a lot of older fans have been kind of asking for Roman. The real question is that, they keep teasing Roman keeps teasing that he'd love to see The Rock at WrestleMania. And so it'd be really interesting to see The Rock as, come back and as a face against a heel Roman Reigns. Like it's interesting because like that whole story is built around family and all of that. And so, I find it interesting too that like the Roman change is happening. It happens like this, where he is clearly a much more a tougher attitude and a kind of take no cares. I'm going to do what I want, get what I want kind of thing. The same, like, at a very similar time where Cody Rhodes is back at AEW in it basically black suit Superman style, where it's like, I'm going to be tougher and I'm not no more Mr. Nice Guy kind of thing. And so I'm like, there's a lot of parallels going on over there as well. So anyway, that's the biggest thing that has me excited for Clash of Champions for sure.
It was funny how Roman goes on. Well, that could be on the way. But it was funny how Roman referred to himself as a mafia boss in his interview with Corey Graves today. Yeah. And then out comes Cody last night with that little chain thing. It's like, wait a second.
It's like, who's passing notes to one another? Come on. But yeah, so, right. There we go. That's Clash of Champions.
That's not wrestling for you. Kofi, did you finish the comic?
I did, and we're going to talk about it. So let's get into it. To finish up today, we're going to do a breakdown of X-Men, X of Swords creation, the first part of the 22-part X of Swords crossover. It even tells you what you're in for on the cover. It says 1 of 22.
Okay, but let's make sure everyone knows this. This is built like a classic X-Men event. So the event, parts 1, parts 2, part 3, or whatever, are going to take place in the various X-Men books. So X-Men and X-Force and New Mutants and all, like, so if you are not, like, if you're a pull box subscriber somewhere, your local comic book shop, make sure that, you tell your retailer that you want every X of Swords book, because you're going to start getting books that you don't normally get. So if you're just like an X-Men subscriber and you only want just that X-Men book, you're going to miss a lot. So just want to put that out there for folks who may be interested in getting into this and want to know the structure. This is it's built completely differently than if you were to just have started on Empire with its gazillion.
Yeah, no, it's not. These are not tie-ins. These are all main chapters.
These are parts of the story.
Yeah, this is Executioner's Song all over again. If you know that reference,
Messiah Complex.
Yeah. So you got to read all the X-Men parts. So they want you to buy all the books, getting the sales up. All right, so let's get into the actual storyline. So basically, this book is the kind of payoff for the Dawn of X line that was kind of reintroduced and rebooted the X-Men in House of X. And basically, what it does is takes some of the more trash elements of Dawn of X that we didn't like and makes them interesting and relevant. Like the whole Otherworld thing in this one book is more relevant than all of 12 issues of Excalibur that I tried to slog through. And that whole thing. And the premise of the story is that in ancient times, and we saw this hinted at House of X and explored a little more in Dawn of X, the X-Men's new island, the living island Krakoa, is actually, who was this mutant island, has now been kind of constituted as a very ancient living island that was that used to be a greater whole called Oraka, that was cut in two during a great war by this weapon called the Twilight Sword, and allowed beings from what is, Jonathan Hickman does a good job with his charts of finally making this Otherworld crap clear to me. I did like a whole study last night of just Otherworld and like how it's positioned. But basically, Otherworld is like a mirror kind of thing where it has two halves. There's a light half and a dark half, right? And so the dark half now wants to come across. So when Krakoa got split into Arakko, it became Arakko and Krakoa. And Apocalypse was the champion of the world who stood there and fought back this demonic horde with his original horsemen, who in a bunch of early mutants he had gathered as almost like a ancient X-Men, I guess. Mm-hmm. And they battled back this horde on the shores of Arakko. but it had to be sealed away and through this kind of portal. And basically he lost all his original kind of mutant buddies, his first horseman, who he calls his children, his wife, everybody, and he had to sacrifice them, and they were sealed away into the kind of darker half of Otherworld, where Arakko ended up. And in the later half of these Dawn of X books, part of Arakko reconnected with Krakoa, and Apocalypse began to learn that there's this growing threat out there that's been kind of building up. And so he built the X-Men a gate into Otherworld, like the external gate that they can kind of get into the middle of there and see what's going on. And so Swords of X, X of Swords creation is all about the massive kind of chess game that's kind of playing out now. And this series, for me, why I liked it is it did what House of X did, and Hickman does so well, that I didn't feel was reflected necessarily in the books month to month, which is making something that feels like almost like a big piece of it's very cinematic, it's very big, and it feels epic, and it feels like we're getting into a actual big crossover as opposed to like Empire. And it's funny because there's a little more apples to apples to this, because Exosaurus does a lot of stuff that Empire does, in the sense that, like, we didn't know exactly what the threat was. We had all these mysterious characters. Some of them look Egyptian. Some of them look alien. Like, we were getting these weird character breakdowns. None of it made any sense. And they kind of do pull this weird, like, switch on you of what's happening in this story. But this is actually cool. And it does something in, like, Marvel stories that has, like, and we've talked about, I've alluded to this, but I'm going to say this is a great teaching moment, because this teachable moment, because they do what is so good about crossovers like this, or Executioner Song, particularly in X-Men of Executioner Song, or Extinction Agenda, and things like that, those classic 90s stories, which is just because you're playing with such a large cast of characters, just a simple, easy to follow premise that this lays down. There's an army, this dark army's coming across Otherworld. They get to the, like, god of Otherworld, Saturn, and she, in an awesome, and she's like more White Queen than White Queen somehow. And
right?
Yeah.
I thought that's what that was at first.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my
almost
God.
down to, like, that's what the one thing I couldn't get. I was like, wait, is that Emma Frost?
No,
Is
the
that not
drawings,
Emma
yeah.
Frost?
I had to look twice at a lot of the artwork too. Which is gorgeous, Pepe Larraz in this. Yeah, I had to check that out. But yeah, and so they come to the middle, and she's basically goddess world. She stops and is like, yeah, this is not happening. Like, what are you doing here? What do you want? And they say, we want to go and take over Krakoa. We've been in this sucky land forever. We want to go back to Krakoa, and we're taking it over. And she's like, all right, here's how we're going to settle this. Sword fight. Like, we're just going to have a kumite, if you've seen Enter the Dragon, basically, and it's just a sword battle. Dark Army, you guys get 10 sword fighters. Krakoa, it's on you now. You guys, mutants, get 10 sword fighters, and we're going to hash this out. Boom. And it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot that happens in this 60-something page book. But that's why I like it, because you can just boil it down to the X-Men got a sword fight to keep their home against a dark version of their home and a bunch of crazy people who we're going to meet in there.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
That is what this does so well. Yeah,
exactly. Absolutely. And it's just like, now the stage is set, and there's plenty to do here. They have to go out. They got to find these swords. We got to figure out who these other champions they're going to face are going to be and what their stories are. And it's not, it's not going to be that simple. People are going to be trying to play angles, do all this other stuff, backstabbing. They've already teased major betrayal and all kinds of stuff. And so, like, we're going to see where this goes. But at the core, it's a sword fight. And that's what we're going around. And, yeah, it's pretty cool. So this has been my favorite thing since House of X, and I'm now really looking forward to this again, all 22 parts of it.
I agree with you. I think it did more with a lot of the fringe books. And I thought that's what's been missing from even the core X-Men book. Like, Hickman's own X-Men book has missed this kind of like some of the stuff has been really, I like horticulture a lot. Like, I like that stuff. But again, it doesn't feel like it was moving things forward in a big way. And so that's what this does, is kind of go back through and pull all these stories together. I mean, aside from Marauders, I've really fallen off a lot of the other books as far as, like, I read them, but I don't necessarily retain. Like, they're not, a lot of it's kind of filler, and I'm not digging a lot of it. But this does a really good job of that. And I just love how it blends it all to sword. I think that's such a brilliant, also so obvious, but like, why didn't someone think of it first? Obvious, not in a bad way. And so I'm like, oh my God, that's a great way to bring that back in. So yeah, there's a lot of cool ideas. It is dense. I'm not gonna say
this chapter is dead. Like, I think Kofi did probably the best explanation of it that I think anyone probably could. Agreed. For someone who like.
Just because I just read it once and I really have to read it a second time to like really get
so much. Like there's so much of that, like especially like towards that beginning, and it's like, oh my God, like why am I meeting all these people? There's so many little breaks of giant blurbs of text. Like this is the like one of the most Hickman issues in a minute. But I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying like it is good to go in with the idea that Kofi had of like that breakdown. Go in with that while you're reading it, and I feel like you get a hell of a lot more out of it on that first go, and you won't have to go back.
I'm going to tell you, the key is just study the Outworld charts. As long as you study the Outworld charts, you'll be okay, because you just got to understand like what this land is and like what's happening, and then you're pretty good.
But also too, like so Jamie Lovett on the site put together a nice kind of recap of like the swords of the Marvel Universe and why they're they're going to be important and where they come from and things like that. So like you've got the Muramasa blade for diehard Wolverine fans. Captain Britain fans have Sword of Might. Clearly you can't have a mention of swords without Magic's Soul Sword. The one that I totally forgot about was Grass Cutter, that I guess is more of a Daredevil in hand kind of lore item. But you have the one that
Gorgon will have, right?
The Gorgon's got the God Killer, which he's kind of always, which he's always had. And then I guess the difference, a new one is Cypher is using Warlock as a sword. So awesome. I guess Warlock is a sword.
That's so dope. That's such a cool thing. Like, I love that.
And then there's that random sword that showed up in Cable that came from the Space Knights from Rom and the Rom's people. So the Light of Galador is a new sword, and so it's. I thought the premise was going to be totally stupid, and after reading this issue, I'm like all in on it. I'm like, yes, go find all the swords, go use them.
I think me and Kofi talked about it when it was first announced, and we were both like, "Man, really? Like this is?"
Yeah, I was skeptical.
Yeah, but no, I agree. Sure. This issue very much like, okay, I'm in. This is cool. This is so, in some ways, ridiculous and pulls all into these cool things. I'm down. I'm in for this.
But like, I like that now that the event is built in a way that all the chapters make sense, right? Like you are going to have to spend time with the New Mutants characters. You are going to have to spend time with, Psylocke and Captain Britain and those characters from Excalibur. So I like that it sets it up that way as well, where, you're not necessarily fighting for them to get 2 or 3 panels in kind of your standard, like X of Swords chapter 1, X of Swords issue 1, X of Swords issue 2, and then have your spin outs. It's ingrained in the story, which I really, really like.
Yeah, and that's the thing I said. Like the X-Men stories of the 90s, what they did so well was to realize how many characters they were playing with and just find ways to streamline the story around something simple that could give them time to play with them. Like, we just gotta track down who killed Professor X. So we need several teams of X-Men to do that. And therefore we need X-Force, and X-Factor has to do this and this, and everybody's on their set quests. It's very simple to follow, and then it's just about what happens along the way and the character interactions and all that. And this looks like it's going to be great. And the House of X thing, like, we're going to, like you said, and we're going to get characters working together, but we're also going to get scenes of characters you don't think should be together. Like, one of my favorite scenes is the Summers kids in this book that have that little crazy scene with Banshee and jumping in Banshee's head. And it's just like, I'm looking forward to all that stuff. All right. That'll do it. If you haven't had a chance, go check out X-Men, X of Swords. Pick that up. If you jumped in for House of X, this is the time to get back in. Check that all out. It's just getting started. All right. That'll do it for this long episode of Comic Book Nation, but good, rich episode of Comic Book Nation. We want to thank you guys for tuning in as always. If you're just now getting the show, we put out new episodes every Wednesday and Friday on comicbook.com. We can listen for yourself, or you can listen to your favorite podcast platforms. We're on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Google Playlists, iHeartRadio, or you can tell any smart home device to fire up Comic Book Nation podcast, and it will start playing for you. If you want to watch episodes, you can see us air them on Facebook every Wednesday and Friday, and you can watch along and see our smiling faces. If you like the show...
Breaking news, the podcast will return to YouTube. We are setting up a Comic Book Nation specific YouTube channel, so that way the entire library will go there, and the new episodes will go there as well. That'll probably happen by the Wednesday episode.
Woohoo!
Listen, Jim out there actually producing. Listen to that. All right. I like it. If you are just now getting in the show, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because we are going to be sending out some appreciation shirts to our fans once we get back in that merch closet. And if you want to talk to us, holler at us, drop show topics, we used to tell you could go to the hashtag Comic Book Nation, but now we got something more official for you. You can just come at us, bro, at Comic Book Nation. On Twitter, we have an official Twitter handle now. We will be out there. People like myself and Matt will be giving this thing life, Wendy style. Yeah, we'll be kind of hanging out there, and things for the show will be announced through there, and we'll be putting up all kinds of great goodies on there for you guys. So check that out and follow it now at Comic Book Nation on Twitter. Hit us up because we want to be friends.
Hey.
Otherwise, that'll do it for this episode. Thank you again. If you're just tuning in, stay healthy, stay checked in. Just stay less stressed in 2020 if you can. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Deuces.